In 2019, we saw a grassroots climate movement explode. This movement is led by young people who are urging adults in power to address the climate crisis now, before it's too late.
We are afraid for our lives. We are afraid of an uninhabitable planet.
You had a future, so should we!
You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words.
Let's take a look back at the year and some of the key moments where young people stood up to create this powerful movement.
What do we want?
Climate justice!
What do we want?
2019 began with a new surge of support for young people who sued the United States government over climate inaction in 2015. Juliana versus United States was named after Kelsey Juliana, along with 20 other plaintiffs under the age of 25. The Juliana suit had been prevented from going to court until this February, when more than 30,000 people in 11 days, mostly students, signed on to support the plaintiffs' right to be heard.
People told us that it was hopeless.
They said we could never win.
And then we started winning.
The push was initiated by a climate action group called 0 Hour, led by 16-year-old Jamie Margolin. And it worked. A judge granted the Juliana plaintiffs a hearing date in June, and they aren't the only ones suing over inaction. There are now more than 1,000 similar lawsuits filed in the US and at least 300 more around the world. Cut to March, when 1 million young people joined the movement with the very first global climate strike. They came together through pockets of young activists who had been staging their own weekly strikes around the world. The strikes were called Fridays for Future because kids would skip school on Fridays to protest. It all started in August 2018 by 15-year-old Greta Thunberg in Sweden. A picture of her protesting spread across the internet, and eventually so did her movement. March 15th brought together approximately 1.5 million young people in thousands of cities across the world. And the second event in May was also a success and coincided with the 2019 European Parliament election. Another global climate strike came in September, but we'll get back to that soon.
Climate justice!
This year also saw 2 viral hashtags amplifying the climate movement. First came hashtag 10-year challenge, where people posted pictures to show how much different spots around the Earth have changed in a decade. And hashtag trash tag went viral with people showing before and after photos of community cleanups around the world. Student protesters made their voices heard to speak out against fires burning in the Amazon, shedding light on the shocking effects deforestation could have on global air quality. And most recently, 3 Pakistani teens say they were inspired by the Juliana plaintiffs to sue their government over dangerous levels of air pollution. To end the summer, we saw a huge push in the US to get the 2020 presidential candidates to discuss climate change on the debate stage. The Sunrise Movement, a youth-led group advocating for climate policies, even slept outside the Democratic National Committee's headquarters, demanding a climate-only debate. That didn't happen, but we did get 2 town halls where the Democratic hopefuls shared their plans for climate action and took some of the best questions from, you guessed it, students.
So how can we trust you to put us, the future, over the wants of large corporations and wealthy individuals?
And in August, in one of the biggest climate statements of the year, Greta Thunberg chose to sail on an emissions-free yacht across the Atlantic to get to the first ever Youth Climate Summit at the UN. There she met scores of other young people who spoke directly to world leaders at the summit in New York. And they did not hold back.
Everyone needs to get involved, particularly to honor the indigenous sisters, mothers, grandmothers, aunties, and daughters who have been taken from us as part of the genocide that climate change is propagating.
The climate crisis is really happening, and if we don't act now, we will be affected on the future, and we, the kids, will be the one that will pay the consequences.
I have a dream that people in power, as well as the media, start treating this crisis like the existential emergency it is.
The first ever Youth Climate Summit was a 3-day lead up to the United Nations Climate Summit and was bookended by 2 major global climate strikes, where an estimated 7 million people turned out. The crowds were overwhelmingly young people, all imploring adults in power to make a change before it's too late. That's been the theme of the youth climate movement this year. When the adults have failed, young people have taken action for themselves. This movement is still, well, young, so it remains to be seen how much change these movements can drive. But you can't deny we are witnessing something big. And this video featured just some of the groups who are pushing for action nationally and globally. If you want to learn more, there are links to their sites and handles below. Also, let us know in the comments how you're getting involved in the climate movement. Thanks for watching.